senators, and representatives, I have the distinguished honor of presenting.
Stalin's era marked a dramatic reshaping of the Soviet Union's social and economic landscape. Forced migrations were a cornerstone of his policies, driven by economic goals, political control, and industrial priorities. In this lesson, we'll analyze the geographic and human impact of these migrations and explore the perspectives of key historians who have studied this period. In 1929, Stalin launched a campaign to collectivize agriculture, consolidating small farms into state-run collectives. Millions of kulaks, wealthy peasants, were labeled as class enemies, deported, or executed. This resulted in rural depopulation as skilled farmers were displaced, weakening agricultural productivity and contributing to widespread famine. As rural populations declined, urban centers swelled with migrants seeking work in Stalin's industrialization projects. Cities like Magnitogorsk were built from scratch to accommodate new industries. Overcrowding, housing shortages, and poor sanitation became common in these rapidly expanding urban centers. In the 1930s, Stalin introduced internal passports to control population movement and tie workers to specific locations. This policy prevented peasants from fleeing collective farms during famines or moving to cities without state permission. For those who resisted collectivization or disobeyed the regime, the gulags became their destination. These forced labor camps, located in remote areas like Siberia, exploited prisoners for large infrastructure projects such as the Holodomor Canal, often under deadly conditions. The gulags redistributed labor to regions critical to Stalin's industrial goals, ensuring economic output at the cost of immense human suffering. Agricultural regions faced droughts and poor soil quality, further undermining collectivization efforts. In Ukraine, known as the Soviet Union's breadbasket, these environmental challenges combined with forced requisitions to create the Holodomor famine. Grain was exported to fund industrialization, leaving little for local populations. Mismanagement of resources during collectivization exacerbated food shortages and migration patterns. Carr emphasizes Stalin's focus on industrialization as a monumental achievement despite the human suffering it caused. From this perspective, forced migrations were a necessary sacrifice for the Soviet Union to become an industrial superpower. Conquest highlights the deliberate nature of Stalin's policies, arguing that forced migrations and famines like the Holodomor were tools of political control. This view portrays these events as calculated moves to eliminate dissent and consolidate Stalin's power. Figs examines how forced migrations served to subordinate society to the state. He argues that these policies consolidated Stalinist power, ensuring the state controlled not only land and resources, but also the movement and lives of its citizens. Stalin's forced migrations were a direct result of economic and political policies that prioritized industrialization and state control over human welfare. These policies reshaped the Soviet Union's demographic and spatial patterns, driving rural depopulation, urban growth, and industrial development at a staggering human cost. By evaluating these events through geographic standards, we uncover the complex interplay between political decisions, resource allocation, and human migration. The perspectives of historians like Carr, Conquest, and Figs remind us that these events were not just about numbers or policies, but the lives of millions who bore the burden of Stalin's vision for the Soviet Union.